Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. Founded in 2013, the EHL has become the college placement leader on the East Coast. Sit back and learn more about the next step in your junior hockey career.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto: we take care of our own, as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin. This is episode number 137 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we get you geared up for the September showcase with 50 games on tap over the next 4 days in Worcester. To kick things off in the weekly rundown, we recap the first week of the season, which included some slight movement in both the EHL and EHLP power rankings. Further along in the E-Crew Fantasy Challenge, Team OG and Team HNIB each got off to solid starts to the season, and we'll be looking for more production from the newest set of picks. Then, to wrap things up in our What to Watch For segment, we preview the largest showcase by game volume in league history. This week's episode is brought to you by Hockey Tech, the developers for the new EHL app, available now in both Apple and Google stores. For more information, visit theehl.app. And with that, let's bring in the E-Crew. Guys, this week, Team Old Guys, Jeff and I are back. Team HNIB on the podcast this week, Anthony and Tyler. How's it going?
It's going great. Happy to be here with the old guys.
Yeah, we got our depends ready to do. We got our preparation H. We got our walkers. We're gonna dust off those. All our old man tools. We're not so old. I don't know. We're gonna tease it a little bit, but I think us old guys.
Jeff, it's 8 o'clock in the morning.
Preparation H. I was like, wow, you could leave that one out. But Tyler, I have to ask: are you gonna immediately log in to play Call of Duty afterwards? Because that headset's phenomenal.
I'm using a nice Turtle. I think is it Turtle Beach? Is that the brand? But yeah, they're pretty high quality. We're gonna see how they work though for this first episode.
No, Neil, you see that's another method of Team HNIB making our
Young
fantasy
guns.
picks.
Yeah,
We're all in a private lobby, quick scoping in Modern Warfare 2, and we just discuss picks while we're quick scoping each other.
we're hip. We're with it.
To be totally honest, I have
Call me on my house phone.
I have no idea what quick scoping is. But with that, let's get into the weekly rundown.
It's time for the E-Crew's Weekly Rundown.
The E-Show Weekly Rundown is brought to you by the Junior Hockey Podcast, your home for junior hockey news, knowledge, and nonsense. Check them out at tjhpodcast.com.
Anthony, I did love your text though yesterday when you said, do you know off the top of your head if 50 games is a record for an EHL showcase? Yes. No doubt. Yes. The answer is definitively yes. Last year, this Worcester showcase was 44 games. Obviously, we've added 5 teams since then, 2 in the EHL, 3 in the EHLP. I think for me, what's going to be most interesting is, do we see a difference between the teams that have played a real game so far and the teams that haven't? Because guys, there's a lot of teams that haven't played a regular season game yet, and their first games come this week at a showcase.
Jeff, say the line. Say the line, Jeff.
The scheduler?
No, the other one. Rust or Rust.
Oh, Rust or Rust. Somebody lies. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be Rust or Rust, boys? Let's figure it out. There's the first one for the 2022-23 year. But yeah, the South Division sure as heck has played. Everybody's played at least 2 games. Protec's played 3 games. But yeah, like you said, Neil, Vermont still hasn't played. The Seahawks haven't played. Valley hasn't played. Then you got a bunch of teams that have played 1 game. Rangers have played once. The Apple Corps, the Railers have played once. Everyone else mixing and matching 2 or 3 games there. So yeah, but I mean, they've been practicing all summer long. They've been scrimmaging. Preseason elements have been added this year that we haven't had in years past. That's been a nice little addition. So I think I don't think there'll be any rust. I think these guys are ready to go.
But then we'll say, not rest, not rust, a feeling of anxiousness for Zach Overholzer and the PA Huntsman, who called me yesterday and said, like, I may not sleep until we drop the puck on
Don't
Saturday
do
night.
that, Zach. I mean,
And like,
please get some rest.
I made that's the very last game of the showcase. Like, ooh, there's your scheduler, Anthony. Welcome to the league. You get to play at near midnight on Saturday night. But he basically is like, I don't know. Put it this way: when it comes to expansion teams, we're going to get into Rhode Island in a second for sure. You just don't know what to think until you drop the puck, right? So if you're the Huntsman and the two other expansion teams have played in Adirondack and Union, yeah, I would kind of feel a little anxious too. Not like in a bad or a good way, just like anxious, like how are we gonna do?
Right.
And
That's
they play
what
the
we talked about
Wolves.
last week was about Rhode Island. What were they gonna be? Well, if you just
I mean,
2-0, that's a camp start.
Two.
Yeah.
should we just jump right into the tweet? I gotta find the tweet. Did you guys see the tweet?
Oh, I don't know.
Not sure if I did.
So I don't know. I like the tweet. We'll start with that. I'm not upset about the tweet.
That's a good start.
Oh, okay.
Pretty nice way to start a Sunday morning. So this was tweeted Sunday morning after their 2-game sweep of the Wizards. Thanks to all who believed in us and to those who were part of us getting to this point.
I did see this, yeah.
Screenshot of the standings.
I tried not to read into it too much, but
Well, I mean,
we
here's
like to stir in the pot. It's fine.
Is it at
all right,
us?
Toby? All right, James, let's go, baby.
Is it at us? Is it at
be.
Sean Walsh? Because remember on the podcast last week, Sean kind of, or prior to the podcast, I should say, Sean kind of joked and said, like, hey, the Wizards historically slow starters in September booked the expansion team. He never really said, like, this is how it's going to play out. But, like, this, I mean, put it this way. These are the tweets, truthfully, that I do love because they can pound their chest right now.
All day, yeah.
I mean,
look,
this is why we started the podcast, Neil, back in 2019, was to do this, to create buzz for the league.
You know, I'll go to bat for HC Rhode Island here, where when the 87 started up their franchise back in 2017, you ask Matt and Adam, they talked about people who said it was a bad idea. They shouldn't do this. And, you know, they get the first couple of wins, you get your feet settled, and it's like, okay, like we're here, we belong. HC Rhode Island can say that. You know, they just faced the East Coast Wizards so far. I don't mean that in like a bad way, you know, just in the sense that it's one opponent rather than beating two different teams. But
here's some more bulletin board material. There you go, Corey Felitti.
Well, yeah. Well, Rhode Island, like off and running at a 2-0 start. Now we get to see how they do in the showcase. But from what I've seen from them, you know, they have some pretty good players. Tyler, Jake, and I picked one of their forwards in fantasy, and you know, looking at their schedule ahead, I think they can pick up at least, you know, one win in the showcase.
Rangers.
I mean, look at the
Wolves,
first
Seahawks.
showcase game.
That's a gauntlet. You got.
I mean,
that'll be a great
off
test
from last year how they finished. So you think they want to go in and impress everybody? I'd say so. Wolves 2-0. Think they want to? They haven't allowed a goal yet.
What were you saying, Tyler? Great test against the Rangers.
Yeah, it'll be a great test for them. But I mean, the results are everything. You win your first 2 games. Yeah, sure. You have the right to feel good about yourself and flex a little bit. I think we all know last year, the Central Division, it was pretty lopsided favor of the Railers. They ran away with it. So I think for Hockey Club Rhode Island, perhaps they could provide a little bit of a wrinkle in the standings this year, give the Railers a run for their money, but it's early. Like Anthony said, they've only faced the one opponent, but I think this showcase is going to be a real good measuring stick for them, but not just them, for every team, the teams that haven't played and the teams that have played a game or two. So it'll be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it as always.
And before I close the tab on the tweet here, is it too early to give an end of the season award out, you think? Because
for best tweet,
say so.
No, not for best tweet, for alumni parent who will keep in touch the most with us. Did you see the reply to the tweet from one Trent House, father of Declan House, now at Franklin Pierce? Good job and good luck for the rest of the season, except when you play the Wolves. Emoji with the sunglasses.
still pulling for the Wolves. You gotta love that. From
I do
Mr.
love
House.
how his name
Oh, that's a great Twitter header.
on Twitter is dad of a 100-point EHLP man, Franklin Pierce University, number 14. Just to be very specific, that's Declan House. Like if you Google that, that's what's going to pop up, Declan House. So
at Terrier 19 Boston.
Yes. So I just thought that response was pretty good. So let's jump over now, though, to the power rankings, which, as we mentioned on last week's episode, we're doing differently this season. We're not putting the onus on us, even though it does create some good buzz when we do that. But we came up with a point structure that I truthfully think works. I hesitate because it's only a weekend, but the order of the top 5 going into week 1 was based off where they finished this past season. So 87s were the champions. They obviously were number 1. Express lost to them in the championship. They were number 2. The Railers were the next best team that made it to the semifinal Saturday, followed by the Wolves and followed by the Avalanche. When you look at the way that week 1 played out, 87s win both their games, so they stay at 1. Wolves, I mean, let's talk about this for a second. They don't just win both their games, they shut out both their games.
Trevor Jewell. Oof. And they have a new kid, French kid. I can't even say his name. I'm gonna have to figure that one out before I butcher it. But yeah, remember Trevor Jewell gave a day off last year to kill Gallon and got a shutout, and now he just starts this year where he left off last year. I mean, that was the Friday of the Frozen Finals where where the teams were already determined. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but the day who was facing who?
Shut up.
Oh, Jeff, you're thinking of Charles Antoine Julien.
There we go. That's him.
And then they have another goalie that they're bringing up from the U16 team, Daniel Lopez Franco. What people don't know about Daniel is the best saves that he's made in his career were actually against me in that Wolves shootout last year.
And I think Trevor's going to have to add a middle name to keep the 3-name train going.
Actually, Jeff, you bring up a good point. I just want to note a quick observation. I feel like this is league wide. I feel like we're seeing a spike in names with hyphenated names. I feel like I've already written down a couple of them in my spotting charts.
Hey, fun fact, I have a hyphenated name, but I don't use it. On my birth certificate, I'm technically Jefferson James. Robert's my middle name. Mills is my last name.
Hold on. What?
Yeah.
We are 100 and how many episodes in, and you just tell us this now?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm calling you JJ all weekend. Is that okay?
Yeah, whatever you want. One of my sisters.
Sure thing, Lean Jeans.
Oh my God, I'm not.
We're throwing that out. We're gonna get a new nickname for Neil this year. We're gonna throw that one out.
Everyone's getting a new nickname.
I am not wearing jeans to the JBT shootout night this year. And if I am, they are going to be the baggiest jeans you've ever seen.
I was going to say, you better wear baggy sweatpants, dude.
But back to the power rankings. Obviously, Wolves jumped to 2 because of their 2 shutouts. But I think this is why I say the point structure is working so far. They had the 2 shutouts, but they really can't pass the 87s, who also won their 2 games, but didn't
won the championship last year.
Yeah, so the point structure works there. The Express, they got the Railers number right now. It's carried over from last March, so they stay at 3, even though they lost to the Wolves because of their win to the Railers. Avalanche jump up to 4 with their win against the Rangers, and then as you'll see in the graphic that we posted earlier today, we're gonna always constantly highlight some teams that are on the bubble, but to me, on the bubble is kind of just a handful of points away, which right now are the Chiefs, who
won the nutmeg battle, eh?
Yeah, they swept their series as well. Each game was a 1-goal game, 4-3 in Newington, then a 2-1 shootout. So obviously a very interesting start to the week. I know we're going to post this, or the power rankings are out, and Rhode Island's going to say, what about us? I think it's going to take a couple more wins to get them into that top 5. But
you got 3 games this week.
So. I put it this way.
They're already coming up towards the top half.
Well, look at that.
Let's talk after the showcase.
They're at 10 already, right?
Yeah, that's a big jump.
So, but just again, for those that are listening at home, you started based off where you finished last season. So Philly Hockey Club, I did not put you at 19. because your coach's favorite number is number 19. I know you texted me that. I put you at 19
because you did not exist with
weren't in
us
the
last
league.
year.
So, so
You weren't an idea yet.
that was another good text though. As for the EHLP, Rangers didn't play, obviously, so they don't really move at all. But the Lumberjacks, I mean, let's talk about the Lumberjacks EHLP team. Back-to-back Frozen Finals appearances, right? They were there in Westchester 2 years ago. They were there in Providence this past year. They roll out opening weekend and pump out 11 goals against Adirondack. They look reloaded and as strong as they ever have at the EHLP level. So they jump up to 2. Obviously, helps a little bit that the Avalanche dropped a game to the Railers. Railers P team, I don't really know what to think because they've always had the Express's number at the EHLP level. And then they lose the opener to them at home. I kind of felt bad for Jake. I know Jake's not on this week, but Jake, hey, welcome to being the Railers broadcaster for the season. Here's an Express sweep on opening day. Like that is a little
Tyler
bit of a
versus
start.
Tyler's Express versus Jake's Railers. Tyler wins.
I got the first round, but I think it'll be a different year for this Express EHLP team. I'm very interested to see what that group is going to be able to do. I did get the luxury of seeing the Avalanche and Railers play yesterday.
Mhm.
2 programs that have always been at the top of the EHLP. It's going to be an interesting year for New Hampshire, I think. Certainly different than the team they had a year ago that finished the runners up to Boston. Same for the Railers, vastly different. So it's going to be interesting to see how they form as the year rolls along.
I mean, we talked about in our groupie chat the other day, right? Neil, you dropped in on us a little late the other night about how deep you think this league is. And I asked you, do you think it's deeper than last year? Because last year we felt like that was the deepest it's been. Now we're going into our 10th year, but in the 9 previous years. So we got to talk a little bit about our favorite word, parity, with the TY. Bring that back in. I know it's still early, but I mean, so
it's showing though.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just read off the scores, right?
I was gonna say, look at the plus minus, like the differentials too. That's what I was looking at too.
Opening day, we mentioned Chiefs beat Rough Riders 4-3. I'm like, all right, you know what? Solid start. Interesting game. Chiefs scored the only goals in the first period. Rough Riders scored the only goals in the second period.
Look at
Chiefs
the power play chances. 0 for 7, 0 for 5, 46-41 in shots, Chiefs.
Yeah, Colin Bell is like, let me come back.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
We're still working on the power play.
It sounds like a typical Chiefs Rough Riders game, to be honest.
So then we go to the next day, and we continue with the same trend. Rhode Island beats the Wizards 2-1. Chiefs beat the Rough Riders 2-1 in a shootout. Avalanche beat the Rangers 2-1 with an empty netter with 1.5 seconds left from the red line. Okay, like it's a 2-1 game. Like
it's a 1-goal game.
It's just like, let me get my first point of the year, first of a million.
87s beat the Apple Corps 3-1. I think Anthony, you said they had a goal even strength, a goal power play, and a goal shorthanded.
Yes.
So that's how you just check each box off to start the season. Maryland beats the Little Flyers 4-2. Protect Ducks beat Philly Hockey Club 4-3 in a shootout. That's day 2, right? I'm like, wow. Like
1-goal games galore.
Then you go to day 3 of the season, 3-0. Okay, there's a little bit of a margin there. Still 3 goals, like a couple bounces changes everything. 4-1 Express over the Railers, 5-4 overtime, 2-1, and then Philly Hockey Club's like, you know what? We're gonna get our first win. We're just gonna make it 7-1. So I mean, that's really the one outlier though, because then I shouldn't say the one outlier. There's 2 outliers: the 7-1, the 5-0.
Yeah, but that was a 2-0 game into the third period though.
Yeah.
That Wolves Express game. Then the Wolves will just said, we're gonna blow this away in the third.
Hey, with Philly Hockey Club getting that 7-1 win, I think we should at least mention Caden Soy. He's an 05 birth year, just turned 17 on September 17th. And in his first game in the EHL, he gets a 3-point game with a goal and 2 assists.
Wow. Yeah. Happy belated birthday to you.
Was that on it? Wait, Anthony, was that on his birthday?
No, he said August 17th.
Right? No, I said September 17th.
Oh, September 17th.
Yeah, his 17th birthday.
Wow.
Well, no wonder they won 7-1.
How about that?
Damn.
That's quite a way to kick off your junior career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and your 17th birthday.
So look at the standings for the EHL first after that opening weekend. We mentioned Rhode Island in the Central. Chiefs are right there with them at 2-0-0. Like the Central looks upside down early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you go to the East. Obviously, just a few games played there. Kind of Rangers, obviously just the one game played. They always start off the season with that Avalanche matchup, even though I reminded them that they were going to face each other in the showcase also, but whatever, so be it. Wolves obviously on top of the North right now. And then that South Division, man, I cannot look away from the South again this season. For Philly Hockey Club to come in and get 3 out of 4 points in their opening weekend, like they fit just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I know Philly's probably, the little Flyers are probably saying, like, is this going to be a tough year for us with all the scorers that we lost? But really, it's a 4-2 game to Maryland. It's an overtime loss to Pro Tech. So, like, again, it looks like the South Division is going to be like a bounce or two here or there, and the order is just going to shuffle like this all season long.
Yeah, probably.
I can't believe Philly Hockey Club leading the league in goals for in their inaugural year. 10 a 10 spot. Check out the my favorite. Check out all the Pims. Busy weekend for the boys in the box. Dude, look at those. Look at the South Division. Everyone's got 38, 43. He played 2 games.
I mean,
that 87's Apple Core game was very, very feisty. Just lots of scrums in front of each goal.
You're telling me the South Division teams don't like each other?
Well, also it was so the 87s have Charles Lavoie. He had 26 points in 28 games with Apple Core last season.
Yeah.
Well, no, so he's with the 87s now, and there was a lot of chirping between him and the Apple Core bench. Yes, according to our Rinkside reporter Chris Russo.
Oh, and Anthony, is that a pronunciation update? Because I think we used to call him Lavoie. Is it Lavoie?
He did say Lavoie.
All right. So Charles, sorry, we called you Charles Lavoie because I know we definitely picked him for fantasy.
We Americanized your name.
We try not to make the same mistake twice, Charles. Charles Lavoie. Come on down.
Very interested to see for PHC though. Mentioned they had that 2-game series with Pro Tech. Their showcase matchups include the Seahawks, who haven't played a game yet, Vermont, who hasn't played a game yet, and then the host of the showcase, the Railers. So
I have that Seahawks Philly game. That's the 4:00 on Thursday, I think.
Jeff, I opened up
Maybe not.
I have the spreadsheet here somewhere. Your name is on this spreadsheet.
Littered.
A lot.
Yep.
More than me, even, Jeff.
We're back, baby. I got 16 games.
I think I've got 11 or 12.
Woohoo! Actually, I lied. I do not have that Thursday.
Well, I guess I feel lucky. I've got 9 games.
I mean, there's a stretch here when I was looking at this the other day, and I was like, Tyler, Anthony, Tyler, Anthony, Tyler, Jeff, Tyler, Jeff, Tyler, Jeff, Anthony, Jeff, Tyler, Jeff, Anthony, Tyler, Anthony, Jeff, Jeff. I'm like, wow.
Raise your hand.
Okay.
Present, present.
I guess the point is, you guys know that the food that we have at the Worcester Showcase is unrivaled, the best of any showcase, and that's why you want to be there. So,
really good mac and cheese,
Neil,
waffles, everything.
If you don't know that I'm in this for the food by now, then I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you know, I will say this. I don't know if I'm going to have any food for like the first day or two, because tonight I'm going with my family to the San Gennaro Feast in New York City, big Italian food festival.
Hey.
And usually, like after I have food from there, I can't eat for the next 2 or 3 days. So I'll be out of commission coming into the showcase.
Dude, Anthony's going to pack on like 10 pounds in one night.
Anthony, bring some leftovers with you, man.
I'll bring you the best cannoli you've ever had. I'll bring some gabagool there as well.
You want to bring a big thing of vodka sauce up in?
Oh man.
Just to go over.
I'm commentating over here.
It's too early to be thinking about this kind of food. Oh my god. Not even 9
last night.
Tyler's day is ruined.
Oh man.
To go over the EHLP standings. Just like the EHL Chiefs, the EHLP Chiefs off to a perfect start. Wasn't easy though in their 2-game sweep of the Renegades. 1 game went to overtime, 1 game went to a shootout. So I mentioned earlier Vermont sweeping their series against Adirondacks. I mean, you want to talk about looking like upside down standings. Look at that. The Avalanche are 2-time defending regular season champions, and they're behind a pair of teams that are both 2-0. So obviously something interesting to watch there. Anthony, we haven't talked 87s really yet, so you could talk for a second. The 87s Little Flyers EHLP game may have been one of the better games of the entire weekend. And that kicked off the season.
Yeah, and actually, fun fact, going back to last season, the last 3 regular season matchups between the 87s and Flyers at Iceworks Skating Complex have all gone into overtime. And the 87s have won the last 2 of those matchups. So the 87s were winning. Philadelphia tied up the game, and then the 87s won it in overtime. Was definitely a back and forth game. A lot of penalties. The 87s went 0 for 11 on the power play. The Little Flyers went 2 for 10.
Wow.
not a good
It's
day.
really on.
So what you're saying, Anthony, is
They got to practice
on
the power.
December 11th, when there's a 4:00 game, they should just make it a 10-minute overtime to skip the regulation 60.
No, well, the regulation is the fun part. You know, you got to build up to the overtime. That's what makes the game. Hey, make Tom Wilms earn his money with that broadcast.
Yeah, we get per game checks. So the longer it goes, the less it goes out the window. The more that goes out the window.
No cheapies for him.
We don't get overtime pay. I don't think so.
We can work that clause into our contract.
I was gonna say we got to work that one in the contract.
Hazard pay.
Well, I want to get to fantasy next because obviously with the showcase coming up, we're going to have a longer what to watch for segment.
OG on the website.
We're going to have a longer what to watch for segment. So let's jump now into the E-Crew Fantasy Challenge.
It's time for the E-Crew Fantasy Challenge.
The E-Crew Fantasy Challenge is presented by BioSteel, the sports drink of the Eastern Hockey League. Use the promo code ESHOW, that's ESHOW, for 25% off when you check out at biosteel.com.
You know, I think I'm going to ask Justin if he can age our pictures. We need to get that up here. We need to get our age
Use one of
selves
those-
as Team OG.
Use one of those Snapchat filters.
And then we'll get Anthony, Tyler, and Jake as a little younger. Even though you guys are young, we'll just make you look like babies. I think that'd be a cool addition. Justin, I'll text you after this.
I mean, put it this way, Jeff. The right knee pain that I woke up with the last week has not been
Dude. I told you I've been me and the fiance are finally getting our new place. I've been painting ceilings for the last week, just doing all this. Shoulders are burning. My hips are like
back pain.
Oh. Literally, I got back. I sat on the couch. I was like,
the best part, Jeff, is that when I tell Vicky that my right knee hurts, she goes, "You work from home," and I was like, "Yes, I know I do." She's like, "You sit in the chair all day, and if you don't sit in the chair, you ride the Peloton, which is a stationary bike. How do you hurt your knee?"
And for everyone that doesn't know, Vicky is in the medical field. She's an occupational therapist,
physical therapist.
Physical therapist. There we go. So
Neil, Jeffrey, are you two going to start watching Me TV? Just the endless marathon of MASH.
We're thinking about it.
I should just put it on right here. I really should. Oh man,
I'll be over to feed you some applesauce in a little bit. Anyway,
you do know I love applesauce, right? Is that what you said? Yes.
Yeah.
Like
ice cream, applesauce.
Like a big
I know
obsession.
your favorites. I know your favorites.
Anyways, so as we said last week, Team OG, Team Old Guys.
Original gangsters, old guys.
Gangsters, Jeff and I, versus Team HNIB, which is a combination of Anthony, Tyler, Jake, if need be, Trevor, Haley, Alexis, Jamie, any one of the Odessas that we need to call in. I don't think we'll end up
1 through 3.
They have a strong depth chart, but I hope that we don't have to go that far down the depth chart on any given week. But anyone's available if we need to.
Mike 3 still got the hair going?
Yes, I cannot wait to see the man bun in person. I really cannot
too.
But really a kind of an even start between the two teams. So to start with the point totals, Team OG stands at 33.4, Team HNIB 30.8. Solid opening week. To recap, HNIB's points, a goal and an assist for Aiden Hotchkiss, kind of kicking myself.
Empty netter, like you said.
Empty netter from 50 feet. Like, come on, can we just run the clock a little bit faster? The goal doesn't count. But
we'll take it.
William Prey, I mean, he's going to have a tremendous season. They only played one game though, and they got shut out by the Wolves. So obviously nothing there. Eddie's with 3 assists for the Wolves, including one on the power play, solid 7 points. JJ Creighton, the captain, back for Team Maryland this year, a goal and assist and a shorthanded point for 7 points of his own. Aiden Swain didn't put up any points on the blue line for the Railers. And then Jack Bostard, man. I mean, again, if Jake was on, his first EHL call is completely against himself because he's calling for the Rangers or for the Railers as his fantasy goalie is putting on a show. I mean, if Jack Bosher plays like this all season long, like goalie of the year.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
that other game was Kyle Rorich. That was one of Nick Coda's former goalies from the Monarchs last year. So I think you want to get him some work early on. I think that should be Jack's
Back to
net,
back.
but yeah.
Back to back.
Well, so
Right.
what are Jack Bosher's projected stats on Elite Prospects? Because I
Ooh.
know they do the projected.
Do they do that for goalies?
23-0 with 23 shutouts.
If
Goals
they do
against
that
him,
for
0.
goalies, I'm going to be
Just
very
like
interested to see.
Jack's not letting up
just
a
like
goal this year.
Oliver
They don't
King
do
for,
it for goalies.
Damn
just
it.
like
They
Oliver
don't.
King for HC Rhode Island, on pace for 69 goals, 0 assists
Yeah,
in
no
46 games.
He's just sitting in front of the net, baby, passing the puck. No distributing for Oliver.
Pass, just get the rebounds.
So, Neil, we were able to strike an agreement with Jake, which is why we're going with Stefan Kuhanik this week for fantasy. So
Okay,
we went with my guy for the first week, and
I like that.
obviously you can see why I put a ton of faith in Jack Boschert. He was a top 3 goaltender last year in the Eastern Hockey League. He was a really large reason as to why the Express made the run they did last year. We called those games together, Jeff and Providence. We all remember the stick save he made in that game against the Railers. He just made big save after big save in that run. It looks like he's primed to have an even better season this year. We'll see. It's still early, but if there's any goalie who could do it and get on a run like that, it's definitely going to be Jack Boschert for the Express. But
Maybe he gets a
we're
Nate
feeling-
Miller like goals against if he continues that progression, like 216, 182 for the last 2 seasons goals against. Maybe he gets like I think Nate
some of
was like
those-
1.07 last year.
some of those playoff numbers were a little video game like. It was crazy how high that save percentage was getting at some point.
And I think
If you're
that's
a former
kind of like
goalie
what
self, Tyler.
we almost
What's
forget.
that?
The postseason was so good with a 1.07 and a 967. It was so good that like
Smooth.
the 1.82 in the regular season, 940, like that's phenomenal on its own, right?
Right.
Like
Mhm.
we almost forget how good the regular season was because the postseason was that exceptional. So obviously, early on in the season, though, Jeff, you just mentioned Nick Coda, the Express, wanting to use all of his goalies. You're not going to burn out Jack Bosher in the first weekend. So, could they have flipped the tables on the Wolves in that 5-0 shutout if Bosher plays like who knows, right? But
Hard
in
to
the
win when
game-
you don't score, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
To Kyle Rorich as well.
Yeah. In the game that counted for Team HNIB, though, I mean, a 39 save performance with 1 goal against, and it counts as a bonus game 1. So there's your first bonus points of the year because the Rails were a top 5 team. Over 1/3 of Team HNIB's points came from Jack Bosher this week with 11.8. So as for Team OG, we had a goose egg in there as well. We had Max Morris, even though
Max, where were you?
even
bro?
though Maryland split their opening games. Dallas D'Amato, I think, answered questions early on that
I don't need you calling.
not paired with Colin, as long as you're paired with Kieran Chung, everything is all set. Because D'Amato had a goal and 2 assists. Kieran Chung had 2 goals. Dominic Civitano, a great opening weekend for ProTech. 2 goals and assists, 2 power play points, not included. And I'm not cheating in fantasy this year, so I'm not going to add it in. Shootout winners are not included, but he did have the shootout winner in that victory for ProTech over Philly Hockey Club. Jack Randall, who was on Vermont these past 2 seasons, is now with Adirondack. He added the goal for us. And then my guy Gover, I guess we have to have a conversation at the first showcase for he put up 62 saves.
I'll say he saw a lot of rubber.
I guess
Be
Jeff
honest,
and I
the saves, Neil.
Yeah, Jeff and I were probably just looking for more, but
I'm gonna bring him some cookie dough. Maybe that'll
yes,
make him smile.
exactly. Exactly. But so again, our total after week 1, 33.4, and Team HNIB's 30.8. We're just simply going to go back and forth. Team HNIB picked first the first week. We picked first this week. So Jeff, which ones do you want to announce for us?
It's up to you. We can
tougher to pick though this week because obviously it's a 50 game slate to choose
Right.
from, and there are some guys that we just don't know what to think. So we'll alternate, Jeff. I'll start with Scott Mcmanus. Last time I saw him in person, he was scoring the overtime winner for the Seahawks in their wild card game or first round game against the Warriors in the playoffs last year. I think he is going to be leaned on heavily by the Seahawks this season to be an offensive force for them. Obviously, they have not played yet, but they kick off the season against Philly Hockey Club on Thursday. So that's one forward for us, Jeff. Doesn't matter the order.
I'm going forward. We're gonna keep this linear here for you all.
Okay.
Justin Nakagawa from the Philadelphia Hockey Club. So we're already gonna start splashing into our new teams. And this kid has done pretty well in the 2 games, 2 goals and assist. He played with the Philadelphia Hockey Club NCDC last year at 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. So we're hoping you want to see his projections, guys? All right. EP, everybody's doing this new projections thing. Anthony already teased Oliver King's 69 goal finish for the season with no assists. So Nakagawa is on pace for 46 goals, 23 points, 69 points in 46 games for Nakagawa.
It'll be interesting to see.
He's going to score a goal per game.
It's a nice pace.
And those 2 guys go against each other, as I just mentioned, Seahawks versus Philly Hockey Club on Thursday. Since Jeff is not going to skip around, I'm going to skip around so I can leave our best name for last for Jeff, because I know he wants to say it. On defense, this guy ran the power play top unit for Valley last season. He was probably one of the most popular picks all year long. Hoping his brother can also stay healthy for them this season so we can see both guys together. But we're going to go Dom Metro on the point and hope that it's a strong opening weekend for the Valley Junior Warriors.
And then where would you like me to go from here? Should I
go the other D? I'll get the goalie, then you can get the name.
Cody Plaza is going to be our next defenseman from the New England Wolves. He had a great start and a Wolves sweater and elite prospects. I hate you.
He had 2 goals. He could have been the defenseman of the week, honestly.
He's another guy. He's on pace for 46 goals, no assists. I think we had to tweak the algorithm on EP for these projections a little bit, but
the pace is just crazy.
Assists. Yeah, it is. He used to play for the Pingree School, good prep school. He was there for a few years, and now he's up with Tim Kuhns and Andrew Trimble and Connor Bates and Lou Luttrell and the rest of the staff up there in New England. So hoping that Cody Plaza can bring that strong offensive defenseman ability to the showcase this week.
And I know that I named Nick Demio defenseman of the week with a goal and 2 assists, but 2 goals for Plaza. He had an equally strong opening weekend. And then in goal, I don't know if I'm picking this one with hopes for fireworks as much as just I believe in this goalie during showcases. Tristan Fatadad now with the Seacoast Spartans. Will he get all 3 starts? I don't know, but they do face the Little Flyers in game 1, do face the Rough Riders in game 2, and then my firework potential against the Pro Tech Ducks.
Yes.
On Sunday.
Got to get that one.
So Tristan Fatadad, I would imagine gets the nod in that one.
I say 2 out of the 3.
But it's not. There's no spite between Fatadad and Coach Terry Watt. They just wanted a chance to make sure that as an O2 Fatadad would be the full-time starter, and he's going to be that with Seacoast. So it worked out that Coach Watt worked out a deal with Coach Trotter. So, but Jeff, last week's EHLP forward of the week, I actually, to be honest, I want you say the name because I would probably just butcher it. So you go ahead.
Well, I tried it on you both. I tried it on all 3 of you. How many of you guys are here? 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, including me. And I'm not sure. So we're gonna go with Pepe Della Cadre, almost like Nazem Kadri, or is it Della Quadri? Probably nice. Kadri, right?
Yeah, this is why you're saying.
Anthony, Tyler, what do you guys think? Fellow play-by-play men.
I always like to ask the player, Jeff, so I'll find out during the showcase.
Okay,
can't wait. Yeah, that's gonna be our mission.
Pepe, I'm sure he's gonna have a few pep in the step comments by all of us on the play-by-play. There'll be all sorts of dad jokes, and that's a good name for hockey. But he had 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists for the Lumberjacks in their opening EHLP weekend. So Peppy, we're gonna need that pep this week, bud. Please bring it.
I didn't really know who to pick for forward of the week because he had 5 points. Brennan Manning had 6 points. Justin Prim had 5 points. Like, I don't know if they play together. I got to figure that out as well. But like, I kind of gave it to him because he had one more goal. He had the most goals of that group. So, but yeah, hopefully he can bring some more points for Vermont. But that does it for Team OG. We're tired now, so Team HNIB can go next.
Yeah, we need a nap.
All right. So our first pick, we'll start with our first forward. We're gonna go with the current forward of the week from the Eastern Hockey League, Oliver King, Hockey Club Rhode Island, 3 goals. He's got the hot touch right now, so we're hoping that he
Welcome
can.
to the E Show, Oliver.
Yeah. We're very honored to make that selection, and we're anticipating a big showcase from him and from his team because they're currently feeling it right now. So hopefully they can keep it up. We're going to stick with the expansion team trend as well. And for our next forward, we're going to go with Caden Sue, another player who we feel very high on, very optimistic about. He's a young player, 05. I think the expansion teams are going to be in for a big showcase, guys. I think that it's a real good opportunity for them to make an impact. And
Show us what they're made of.
Yeah, exactly. For our P forward, I'm going to let Anthony do the honors of saying the name because he's an 87's EHLP player.
Yeah, that's Dominic Wojciechowski. He's a short but very quick, shifty forward. He scored a pair of shorthanded goals in their win against the Union Thunder, ended up scoring a hat trick. I really like his game. I think he can have a big showcase, so we're going to have him on our fantasy team this week.
So that rounds out our forwards. Going to the blue line, we are going with also a Wolves defenseman, a similar trend to the OGs there. We're going to go with Nick Demio. Really solid blue liner, was more of a stay-at-home kind of player last year, but he's got 3 points to start the year, a goal and 2 assists. So if he can chip in a little more offensively, we will definitely take that at Team Hockey Night in Boston. But very, very pleased with that selection. Our second defenseman to round things out, we're going to go with Jacob Gates. This was a player that Neil actually suggested. So a little bipartisanship.
A little reaching, nice guys.
Yeah, a little reaching across the aisle there from Team OG. We like that. And then to round it out in goal, we're making our pick of Stefan Kuhanik from the Railers. Arguably one of the more reliable goaltenders in the league. Puts up very strong numbers, plays a lot of minutes. It'll be interesting this year. The Railers have Cam Wickens and Xavier Lapierre backing him up, and I know that those are 2 goaltenders that organization view pretty highly. So Steph's playing time could get split up a little bit this year, but we're really confident in going with him in goal. He's one of the best goalies in our league. And that's
the
it.
one point I do want to make for Nick Demio that Tyler did bring up. I actually used it in my Stars of the Week post yesterday after tallying 5 points last season, 3 points in 2 games so far this year. I will hammer the over that he will surpass last year's total.
I will as well. And especially for fantasy purpose, Nick, we are rooting for you to break that season total from last year. Have go off this weekend, King. Go off.
Exactly. But that does it for fantasy. Obviously a huge slate of games, so a little bit tougher for us to pick, but we'll see where we stand, the 2 teams after this upcoming weekend. But with all those games to preview, let's now get to what to watch for.
Before we wrap things up, here's what to watch for this week in the E-Show.
What to watch for is presented by Hockey TV, the official streaming platform for your EHL and EHLP action through the 2022-2023 season.
Let's start EHL. What games jump out? Because there's a bunch. I mean, there's a championship rematch. There's the game that I think I talked about before when the Express play the Apple Corps. That's the first time in league history where there's 2 former players facing off as head coaches, Nick Coda versus Lenny Cagliano. Like,
that's
there's a bunch.
I can't believe we haven't had that.
You know what? There's a new and unique matchup that I haven't seen before, and I'm excited to see how it pans out. the New Hampshire Avalanche and the Boston Junior Rangers.
Ah,
Oh yeah, I've never seen this.
Two teams that don't really have much of a history against each other.
No, not at all. Really going to be interesting to see how those two teams match up.
There'll
Very
be a lot
few
of
and far
feeling out
between.
in that first
Yeah.
period or so.
I would agree, Anthony.
Chris
I would
and
agree.
Rich. Chris.
Hey, Anthony, is the 87 staff office saying quite the opening showcase? Express, Lumberjacks, Wolves. Not really the easiest schedule I gave them for the first showcase.
Look, if I think Adam Hooley would be the first one to say, look, if you're defending your title, you want to prove you're the best team, you got to beat the best teams. Last season in the showcase, when they had that big winning streak, they beat the Boston Junior Rangers.
Yeah, I can see Hooley just shrugged off. Nah, it's fine, Neil. We want to play the best. We don't care.
They're the defending champs. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the team sets really high expectations for itself. So I don't think they really care about the strength of schedule. And right before the season started, the coaching staff honestly believes that this year's team in some ways is better than last season, or at the very least more talented.
Yeah.
It's a good start. I was
So
hoping to see
I
Cam
think if
Carroll play the
anything,
Railers this week, but no.
Yeah,
it's not
I think if
happened yet.
anything, they want that strength of schedule. And I'm sure Trimble wants that matchup too with the Wolves in 87. So we'll see once again who has the bragging rights.
They have a championship rematch. They have a semifinal rematch in that as well. I mean, I think there's so many different storylines that you could find here. I mean, look at the first game for the EHL. Wizards off to an 0-2 start, Railers off to an 0-1 start. Like, both of them want to get back on the right foot early on in the season.
And then
Chiefs
look at,
feeling
I was gonna say the Chiefs. You just took the words right in my mouth. Are they
feeling
gonna
great at 2-0.
Yeah, keep the Central moving. Go
Nice.
play the Express and Jack Washington. That'd be a way to get us talking about you on the
Yeah.
show.
We
And
talked
said
about
HC
Rhode
Rhode
Island. We talked
Yeah.
about Rhode Island, right? They're 2-0. They get to face a team that's 0-1.
That's a
who
litmus
just
test.
watched them, beat their division opponent for years. In the Wizards, the Rangers are probably going to say, "Let's send a message. Let's send a real welcome to the league, right? Rhode Island, right?" So I mean, there's so many good matchups this weekend.
You talk about the two coaches facing off who were former players, first time in league history. I'm also just interested in general to see how Apple Core will pan out, because it was a pretty good game when they played at Jersey Shore Arena. I was talking to Lenny Caglione, their head coach, great guy. He worked with the Titans NA3 team last season, so he was in the coach's office with the Null team, who ended up winning the Robertson Cup that year. But it's a much more spread out lineup where Apple Core doesn't have to rely on their top line.
Yep.
Their
Uncounted.
goaltending was their goaltending looked pretty solid. So I really am intrigued to see how they're going to do in their 3 games in the showcase. I think they're also going up against the East Coast Wizards for one of their matchups.
Mm-hmm.
They're going up against the Express.
Their new red jerseys looked awesome too.
Yeah, I love that college hockey look. It looks like a
Yep.
Division I jersey. I think like Cornell,
Little BU, yeah.
Yep.
I think I said Caglione. I'm sorry, Lenny. Caglione.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if there was a different.
I totally just butchered that.
Guys,
5
come
minutes
on.
ago.
He's from Staten Island. I'm probably going to meet him at the San Gennaro feast today. And we're going to Little Italy. So.
I don't know, Anthony. They had a team event last night. I hate the Yankees, but what a game for the Apple Core team event to go do last night. I think their owner, Steve Santini, has season tickets, so he brought the team last night. Did you see this, Jeff?
No.
I was watching on
They were
TV.
down 8-4 going into the 9th inning.
Aaron
Judge
Judge.
leads off the inning with a home run, 8-5, and then they
60th.
load the bases, walk-off grand slam. I'm like, what the hell just
Oh,
happened?
That's an
I haven't had time to
That's
watch
an
baseball
ultimate
this year,
grand
but,
slam.
Now,
If you're down by 3 runs and you hit a walk-off grand slam, they call that an ultimate grand slam. Coming into the season, the Yankees have only done it twice. Babe Ruth and I think Jason Giambi. Then Josh Donaldson hit one earlier this season.
Yeah.
And now Giancarlo Stanton hits one this year.
so I guess the
Red
question
Sox
that
have
we
been
have to
not
ask,
must-watch TV, so I can't wait to see Aaron Judge in a Red Sox uniform
Yeah.
next year. Thanks, Ant. We'll take it.
I guess, Anthony, we have to find out, did the Apple Core leave early? If they left early, we are
Ooh.
like,
I'm gonna
Person
have
be
to
Apple
ask him
Core.
then.
yes, if they left that game early, whoo, but they had a
We'll
pretty
get
cool team
we'll
picture
get
out.
answers this weekend.
Yeah,
We
they
will
had a pretty
definitely
cool
get
team
answers
picture
this
out in center
weekend.
field. So flipping over to the EHLP, a number of great matchups to watch here as well. Anthony, I'm surprised you didn't already text me. Whenever there's a showcase, the 87s have to play the Seahawks in the EHLP.
Oh,
yeah. I think me and
They
Ian
meet
called like 2 of
again.
those together last year.
I mean, I don't know what it is. It's kind of just
Well, four out of
What's
the
the
five
distance makes the
four
sense,
out of the
you know?
5 matchups last season were decided by 1 goal, and 3 of them went into overtime. So I'm expecting nothing less. It should be an incredible matchup between those 2 teams.
And Neil, as the scheduler, I mean, you're trying to get teams that are far from each other. Cape Cod, Jersey Shore, a little bit of distance, so it makes sense that they play each other in showcases a lot.
it's
Trying to save on the travel budgets.
But Anthony mentioned before for the 87 DHL team, tough schedule, but you want to beat the best. You got to beat the best, obviously. For the BA Huntsmen, who haven't played a game yet, I am sorry. I don't know why I did this to you to welcome you to the league, but they lead off the season against the Wolves. Then they face the Lumberjacks. Then they face the Express. I mean, there's no easy matchup. I should say that though. There's really no easy matchup in either division, right? But I guess if you're a new team, I could have tried to make it a little bit easier. I don't know. There's really no easy matchup. I should say that.
I would agree, Neil. I mean, you look at some of the other new teams as well. I mean, Adirondack has to play Boston. Union Junior Thunder play the Railers. Like, welcome to the league. It's just how it is. You're gonna match up against teams that are good and that have a reputation, that have had a reputation over the last few years, and it's an opportunity to prove yourself. I think these teams, you can't be scared. You gotta be ready to show up and give it your best swing. There's no such thing, I think, as a quote unquote bad team. It's too early to tell just yet.
Here's a question, actually, because I see that there isn't this matchup for this showcase, but are we gonna at least see one game between the Union Junior Thunder and the Adirondack Junior Thunder playing against each other?
Yes.
And can we call that game the Thunderdome?
Yes.
Or the Junior Thunderdome?
And the only song allowed to be played in between us is "You've Been Thunderstruck." Pre-game.
We could set a world record for the number of times Thunderstruck is played in a 3-hour span.
Everyone's like, this song.
I will.
Actually, you know what? That's one of my biggest hockey pet peeves is when scorekeepers play the same song for multiple whistles.
Nothing worse.
It's like, come on, just switch
Change
the
it up.
damn song, please.
Hit shuffle. Shuffle's easy.
All jokes aside, Adirondack had 440 fans on Saturday night.
Oh,
I know it's an ECHL building and they love their hockey. Talking with all their staff up there, they do. I mean, that's a damn good crowd.
That's
awesome.
Probably
one of the bigger crowds we've had.
Junior hockey, yeah. That sounds like our Frozen Finals in Pennsylvania a couple years ago.
Right?
We packed the house.
That was probably middle of COVID. There's a lot of people here, Jeff.
Was there
as a player, I'd love that. I'd love that as a player for sure. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know their ECHL team does very well attendance-wise up there, so I'm not surprised to see them do well in the EHLP as well. I guess the funny part for me, and it's really not like a shot, is they were able to charge admission for that EHLP game, and they got that crowd. Like that's not a thing in our league. Like I get it's just not a common thing.
If you can make it a thing, then hey.
Yeah. So like.
More power to your team.
I love Providence. I know without even having to go to a vote, we have ALO's vote, but like maybe we move the finals to Adirondack.
Ooh, yeah.
Little Flyers vote, yes.
Playing an ECHL building.
Right.
Hey.
I'm in.
So
hey, not bad.
But yeah, obviously a bunch of other teams in the EHLP as well who haven't played yet. Excited to see Valley get back out there. They were kind of a little bit of a dark horse type sleeper this past season. I think if they don't run into a hot Vermont team right to start off their postseason, maybe their playoff run goes a little bit deeper this past season. But yeah, I mean, 50 games.
Buckle up.
So much
jumping in the deep
watch.
end. Let's go.
I mean, it's the big reason why, of course, is the first day that college coaches can get on the ice with their teams, especially at the Division 2 and 3 level, is Columbus Day, October 10th, which I know we do have some games as part of our second mini showcase that weekend. But we're trying to give these guys the best chance that we can to be seen by scouts as many times as possible before those scouts that their attention is brought a little bit elsewhere. Not to say that they don't do their recruiting once their season starts, but they have their own team they have to worry about. I think that's kind of the unique thing about the NCAA is that you really can't have any interaction with your team up until that point. So as the college coaches always say to us is if they have a chance to go watch hockey as opposed to think about hockey in their office, they're going to go watch hockey every time. Yep. So I think it helps, again, just to reiterate that the food is the best of any showcase.
Without a doubt.
Especially that pub downstairs, the pizza. Maybe it's just because we're in a hockey rink that makes it taste better. Anthony's shaking his head because he's got his Italian fest tonight. So.
Well, no, I mean, but it's just the fact that New York and New Jersey has the best pizza in the country. So,
Bugats.
And Anthony's got a territorial bias, so I understand.
Yep. Your water makes bagels differently, makes pizza differently.
He's very proud of where he's from.
At least that's what I was told when I went to Hofstra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff's got roots in New York.
I will say for those that are driving themselves in, not taking a bus, be aware that on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Worcester, are they the Woo Sox now?
Yeah,
I think they changed.
I literally keep thinking about that, Neil. They're the Worcester Red Sox. Yeah.
No, they changed the Woo Sox.
But I think I still hear people call them the Worcester Reds, so they're just the Worcester Sox.
Regardless, they play this weekend.
Yeah, and that place gets packed out.
And that it's like if you're facing Worcester Ice Center, it's the park at Polar Park is behind the building.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of parking to begin with.
No,
it doesn't get a lot easier. So get there early. I'm saying Woo Sox. I guess there's a lot of homework we have for this weekend. We have to figure out a lot of name pronunciations. We have to figure out if they're the Woo Sox or the Red Sox.
It's Wednesday.
I think they're the Woo Sox. I think they're called the Woo Sox.
Okay. Well, plenty to figure out this weekend.
They'll always be the Paw Sox to me.
Paw Sox, baby. The bucket.
We'll say this: plenty to figure out off the ice and on the ice this weekend. So let's see where both of these leagues, EHL and EHLP, stand after 50 games in Worcester. We'll see you guys there.
See you then, boys.
Let's go.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.